All right, welcome everybody. Everybody's in now. Okay, so welcome to another session, guys, and I do apologize for the long wait today. So we're going to start. Hold on. Sorry about that. All right, so we're going to start now, and welcome again to you guys, and thank you guys for joining us today. And I do hope that at the end of the session, you guys will learn something and it will be a fun session for you guys today. And remember to, you guys can ask your questions in the comment, post your questions in the comment section, and then somebody will address you as soon as possible. All right, so we are going to start with a wetland music prelude for you guys to watch. All right, Eartha?
Welcome to Join the Wave, a wetlands awareness and virtual engagement brought to you by the Natural History Museum of Jamaica. Experience 40 minutes of virtual immersion of the wetlands. This is the third of 4 wetlands webinars.
Join us each Tuesday in the month of February. You'll enjoy online presentations, wetland-themed online games, wetland key term features, wetland stories and tours,
wetland characters. It's all about the wetlands.
So, what are you waiting for? Let's go.
Sometimes they're wet, and sometimes they're not. Transition zones where the water meets the dry spots. They call them marshes, swamps.
Wetland life is really the best. Migrating birds stop here to nest. It's a restaurant and a fine hotel. It's a habitat that serves life well. There are wetlands the whole world round. In every continent and country, wetlands can be found. They're the link between water and land. Hold on to a wetlands, let a wetlands stand. They're the link between water and land. Hold on to a wetlands, let a wetlands stand. There are wetlands inland and out by the sea. There's a marsh, a swamp, and an estuary. There are many names for wetlands, it's plain to see. They have one thing in common, it's hydrology. They're the link between water and land. Hold on to a wetlands, let a wetlands stand. They're the link between water and land. Hold on to a wetlands, let a wetland stand. If the water table's high or the water table's low, it soaks it up like a sponge or it lets it go. It's like a water filter, so the water will be reduced in pollution and silt free. Wetlands aren't wasteland, if some have said. They're a vital part of our watershed. They're the link between water and land. Hold on to a wetlands, let a wetland stand. They're the link between water and land. Hold on to a wetlands, let a wetland stand. Our wetlands disappear each year. They're dredged, drained and filled for housing tracts or parking lots or new farms to be tilled. More than before, we know for sure, the more than mud and sand. Hold on to a wetlands, let a wetland stand. When you go to the wetlands, get down low. Put your feet in the mud, let it ooze between your toes. Stand real still, listen to the sound. The bounty of life is humming all around. Find a wetland near you and go there today. Get to know its wild side. Try to keep it that way. They're the link between water and land. Hold on to a wetlands, let a wetland stand. They're the link between water and land. Hold on to a wetlands, let a wetland stand.
Hi, so hope you guys enjoyed that video.
It was great. I enjoyed it. I love the bit at the end about the mud.
Okay, so we're going to move on and we're going to have our icebreaker section with Miss Tiona Thomas. And Tiona will explain the icebreaker to you guys. And I do hope that you guys will win something and go home smiling at the end of the session. So Tiona, I'll hand over to you now for the icebreaker section.
So good afternoon, guys. Welcome to our third session of our wetland webinar series. It's a pleasure having you guys here with us today. So as usual, we have an icebreaker challenge. And for this one, we're just requiring your participation. There will be no prizes, but it's a very fun activity. So I'm asking all to participate. And for this one, you have to turn on your videos. So if you're willing, you can just give a thumbs up or raise your hands. All right, guys, don't feel shy to participate. So only have one. Okay, Ajane. I believe I've seen the National Ramsar Committee willing to participate, but no camera. Okay. Anyone else? So we have Camille Johnson from our YouTube channel who's willing to participate too. Awesome. That's true. Maybe Travis, maybe. And no one else wants to participate? Come on, guys, it's a fun activity. And we're all here to learn about wetlands. Most persons' cameras are not working well. Okay, we also have Wayne from YouTube and Chadrick. Nice. So I'm going to ask Earthal to just put up the icebreaker in the meantime. Ajane, you have a question? You can pause a bit.
Yes, I have a question.
Ajane, you can type your question in the chat, please. Don't start so sick, guys. So it's okay to begin, Ajane. You don't have a question? Oh. Alright, so it's pretty much just an activity that we do just to, before we go into the presentation, just to have a little fun. All right, so we're going to start the icebreaker challenge now, right? And the instruction is on the screen, so you have 1 minute to carry out each activity. So let's begin. So first you have to draw a crocodile or a bird. for some people. Ask for the camera so they can show in response to the article. Great, and time is going. Your first challenge is almost complete. Awesome. So awesome. So with the first challenge, right, you were asked to draw a crocodile or a bird, right? And both of which can be found in our wetland areas, right? So a crocodile within the waters and the bird will use the trees, the canopy area for their home. All right, so we're ready for the next challenge. Let's go, guys. And we're walking smoothly into the next hunt. All right, next challenge. You are supposed to collect water. Come on. I wonder what's the importance about water. Out of time to collect your water. Wonderful. Now, water is important in a wetland, right? You have different animals that live within the water, so hence why we had to collect some water. Next hunt. Let's go, guys. At the end, I need to see all of your water, your crocodile, or your bird. So let's go for the next one. We need to find leaves. I hope we have some trees in our backyard. Right, and time is good. Get those leaves, guys. For those on YouTube, you can just post your response. Alright, so time's up. For those who are supposed to find the leaves. Alright. Now, what's so important about leaves in wetlands? So wetlands aren't just bare lands, right? You tend to have plants there. And most times when the leaves from these plants, right, the ones that are now, they fall to the ground and they now add to the soil, right? And we're off to our final challenge, our final hunt. Are you ready for the next hunt? Because I'm ready for the next hunt. I'm excited to see you. And let's go. Find something small. That should be very easy. Great. 3, 2, 1, and time is up. Awesome. So this is the end of our scavenger hunt. And we're all winners, of course. So within wetlands, we don't only have large animals, but we also have small microorganisms, right, that utilize wetlands as an habitat. So thank you guys for participating. I'll now hand over back to Miss Sparks, who will continue with the rest of the program.
Thank you, Tiana.
All right, thank you.
That was
It
fun.
fun. I had fun, and I hope you guys had fun also. All right, so what I want you guys to do for me now is to type in the comment section where you're joining us from, and I just give you guys a shout out. And I want to shout out to my students and my participants on our YouTube page. Thank you guys for participating with us for every session that we have. All right, so right now we're going to move on to our Vox Pop session where you guys will get to meet some of the fishermen that we did interviews with and find out what they think about wetlands and the importance of wetlands. All right, so I'll hand over to Mrs. Cole to share the Vox Pop session with us.
Jim Gore's used to raise, crocodiles and alligators.
Do they affect us in positive ways, wetlands?
No, not really. I think they harbor the mosquitoes and stuff. Yeah.
How can we?
Rubbish too.
Do we negatively impact on wetlands?
Negatively impact.
We as humans impact on the wetlands negatively.
No, it don't really affect us. Only the mosquitoes, that's apart from that, I don't see other negative thing.
And how do we impact them negatively? How do we do things to hurt them, to damage them?
To damage the wetlands?
Yeah.
I think they neglect the wetlands because they're supposed to, they usually clean it up because a lot of bottles from across the other side come down and, they have to clean it up. NEPA have to clean it up various times. They have to clean the mangroves,
Yes, of course. By dumping all the plastic bottles into the water, plastic bags, the tire, old fridge, old junk, old shoes and all them stuff. Things that you discard in a rubbish, them discard it in like the rivers, the gullies. So when torrential rainfall, everything wash right into the wetlands there. And it clog up the mangroves, the breathing space. So it's like it suffocate the wetland.
Well, garbage, number one, if I can dispose of garbage properly, and once I can dispose it properly, I guess everything all right.
Yeah, like when we throw rubbish and when we go up there, go take the fish them before them really reach anywhere, then that's a negative effect. And when you cut away the mangroves, it will cause erosion of the land.
This system, where it do, is destroy the whole, what do you call it now? Where the muck come inside, plastic, all kind of thing come. The other time before them ban the plastic, a guy catch a jack out the boat this, and it's one of them bottle and cut out and belly right on the table. That the dog boat over Jamaica and the world.
Yes, we affect the wetlands in a negative way, but it also can be positive. Like when I move to the wetlands now, if you create any farmer like island and thing, they make escape in the wetland and never is usually in the wetlands, it kill off the live things in the wetland. It's tight for them. So whenever you're moving our wetland as a community and build a community in a wetland, I feel like we should have just less garbage, less island thing there. Because we are use up the natural thing, them space now. Because we take over them space, you know, because we have to fill them space. So we have to just do the right thing. That them can survive while we there in a for them environment.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Cole, for that. Now okay, so I want to do some shout outs. So Travis Bartley from sunny Kingston, Jamaica, and Khadija from Campion College, Papine High, Miss Thomas, and Ian Shore from South Coast of England, and Janae from Longville Park, Clarendon, and we have the National Ramsar Committee, Gainstead High, Longville Park, and NEPA, Campion College again, joining us. So I want to thank you guys for joining us, and you guys can still send shout out, and I'll shout you guys out through the presentation, all right? So now we'll have Miss Emma Lewis, who is going to give us an overview of what wetlands are and their importance and why we should take care of our wetlands. Okay, so Miss Emma, I'll now hand over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Karine. I wanted to do one more little shout out to Mr. Ian Shaw of Eastbourne. Eastbourne on the south coast of England, where I was born, which is also, I gather, a wetland area on Pevensey. Yes, I think I know that area. So wanted to say hi to you, Ian, and good afternoon, everyone. Good evening to Mr. Shaw. Okay, why wetlands? Why are wetlands important? There are several reasons. One is protection, the protection that they provide for our coastal areas from storms and hurricanes. Now, this is incredibly important, especially with climate change and the increased extreme weather that we're having. The mangrove areas, which consist of most of the wetland in Jamaica, is mangrove. The mangroves actually protect us from those storms, and they bear the brunt of it. And otherwise, you know, if we were sitting there on the shore without any mangroves, you know, who knows what would happen? We'd get washed out to sea or something. So that's one thing. The other thing is they act as filters. In the film, in the song at the beginning, the video, they talked about the connection between the land and the sea. And that's very important because they act as kind of filters between land and sea. They protect saltwater ecosystems, such as coral reefs, from getting too much fresh water. So they kind of create a balance in the water through filtering. And in the same way, they protect the fresh water on land from the salt water that might seep in, which is a problem in some areas. For example, I think Rocky Point, Clarendon, they've had some issues with the salt water creeping into their fresh water. And fresh water is a very precious thing these days, so we need to protect that. Also, without wetlands, our coral reefs would be harmed by runoff from the land. Everything that we do on the land ends up in the sea. So it protects our coral reefs from agricultural runoff, all the chemicals that are used on land, unfortunately. And so then that's another very important point. And of course, the coral reefs are important for our beaches. Now, what are the threats to wetlands? I think the Vox Pop put right front and center the issue of dumping garbage. And I don't know if you've seen, there's parts of the wetland in mangrove areas in Westmoreland, for example, where they dump enormous amounts of garbage. I mean, things like old fridges, you name it, is there in the wetlands. And this is a terrible thing. It's polluting. Apart from being ugly and unsightly, it causes all kinds of problems. And eventually, if we keep dumping garbage, then the mangroves will die off. They won't be able to survive if they're choked with garbage. One example of that was Refuge Key in the Palisadoes wetlands, which had a big cleanup not long ago, and I saw it for myself. It was horrific with all the garbage from Kingston Harbour. So I think it's had a bit of a cleanup since then. So I hope it's in good shape now. And also, one of the other threats is we just fill in the wetlands to build houses. So we dump earth into the wetlands so that and build houses on that land, which is not a good idea for, it makes the risk to structures even greater. And we drain them for agriculture. That's the other thing that happens quite a lot. So we use the land for agriculture, and it's actually very salty. It's saline, so it's not very productive. And we also, this happens a lot, we cut down trees. We cut down the mangroves for timber and charcoal burning, so on. And that obviously, as someone just said, that increases soil erosion and decreases the protection for our coastline. And we also lose all the biodiversity, all the creatures that live in the mangroves. And another thing which I meant to mention which is important to me, is they're a habitat for so many diverse and very unusual animals, plants, birds, and fish. It's a little nursery for the mangroves, are a nursery for many types of marine life. So we have, baby shrimps and baby fish, all living there comfortably and protected. And then when they're ready, they will go out into the sea. So that's very important. And the migratory birds were also mentioned in the video. And I wanted to point out that many of these birds, which migrate sometimes thousands of miles, most of our migratory shorebirds breed way up in the north and come down here. They don't breed in this area so much. And they are very dependent on wetlands as stopping off points and on their journey, or to, little resting places, or they might spend quite a while in the wetlands. So if that particular, and they come back to the same area every year. So if that particular area suddenly becomes a housing development, those birds are in trouble. And they, They may be hungry and tired and thin and worn out from the flight, from migrating, and they try to go to their usual place where they have a nice little rest stop, and it's not there anymore. They're definitely in trouble. One more thing, we use too much fertilizer and pesticides in our farms and gardens. So these substances are also a threat to our wetlands because they can build up in the soil and in the water, and they can cause all kinds of problems for the creatures living there, and also for, they're not good for us humans either. So we need to cut back as much as we can and use organic fertilizer and pesticides on our gardens. It all runs down into our coastal areas. They have to absorb everything that's coming off the land. So I think that's about it. I mean, there's lots of ways, obviously you can think about ways that we can protect our wetlands, which also, they store our rainwater. We need to think about the importance of water for an island like Jamaica. And also they're great places to visit. If you go down to Salt River, for example, they have wonderful, what do they call now? The boardwalks that you can go through, actually walk through the mangrove and see for yourself. And amazingly, they're much more beautiful than you think, than you expect when you see them close up. They're very beautiful places. That's about it. We all know about crocodiles, and we must look after them and preserve them. And they are protected by law, as are all the birds, so we don't go in there damaging the place where they live. And that's their home. I think that's about it, really. But get to learn more about the wetlands, I would say, and you'll be amazed at what you will discover about our, our mangrove areas in particular. Yes, I'm talking about the Discovery Center at Caribbean Coastal Area Management Foundation in Salt River, Clarendon, where you can really, learn. There's a lot to learn. So take advantage of these places, or you can book a little, even better, I've done it a few times, a nice boat trip through the wetlands, and you'll be amazed what you see. Possibly crocodiles, but they're more afraid of you than you are, than you are of them. So, they will, if you get too close, they will just run away. So you don't need to be afraid of them. They're amazing creatures. Yes. So what else could you do? I think it's important, as I say, to realize that I'm just going to give you a little fact here, which I dug up. 75% of the Earth's surface is made up of water, but only 2.8% is usable for our human consumption. And, we're lucky, we call ourselves the land of wood and water and so on, but water's getting more scarce. So I would say preserve the fresh water that you have, and the health of the wetlands really depends on fresh water coming in. So we need coming into the wetlands and filtering out into the sea. So let's think about water some more, and let's think about pollution. Do not dump. Okay, I think that's about it from me.
Okay, so thank you very much, Emma, for that wonderful, short, but very informative presentation. And I do know that persons learned something from it, because I did. So we want to thank you very much for participating with us today. All right. So moving on, we would like for the persons who participated in the icebreaker segment to just share with us. Turn on your cameras and share with us the different images that you guys drew for the icebreaker segment. Okay, so, and I want to thank, okay, I have Jenny here showing us something. Okay, thanks Jenny, and thanks Anna for sharing with us your crocodiles. Okay, so I also want to thank our participants on our YouTube channel for participating by showing us their emojis in the comments section, and they participated. Okay, thanks Jenny. Thanks, that's very nice. Okay, shout out to Rollington Town Primary for joining us today again. Your presence is always welcome. All right, and we do appreciate it very much. Okay, guys. So now
I think also there's some other persons sharing their photos. I think that Ava is sharing hers as well.
And not, hold on.
Nice words, Travis.
Okay. All right, so now I'm going to open the floor for persons to share with us if they have anything that they would like to tell us about wetlands. Okay, thank you, Mr. Shore, for a senior photo. For a senior photo. That's very nice, and that was very quick. That was very, very fast. Okay, so just one person to share with us if you have any wetland stories, any experience in a wetland or anything like that, you guys free to share with us. You can unmute your mic and raise your hands first, and then unmute your mic and let us know about your experience in a wetland area, or if you live close by to a wetland area, you can share that with us also. All right. Oh. Okay, and sure, you can go ahead.
Okay, it's a sort of more an observation rather than a question. I find it sad that both here in England and in Jamaica and across the world, we have these precious wetlands, which we don't value enough. And thank you to Jamaica for doing this. And we continue to damage them. Like the fisher folks said, it's garbage that we're not dealing with properly. Mm-hmm. And the only answer is education. And we've got that going on here. You've got it going on in Jamaica. But there are still far too many places, and this is going back to what Emma was saying about the inhabitants of the wetland, the birds, the animals, the fishes, and the plants. It's an ecosystem on its own. And yet in many countries in Europe and in the United States and elsewhere, particularly in South America, you've got these idiots going out into the wetlands and blasting away at everything and just destroying the ecosystem. What's the answer? Okay. You can mute me again.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Mr. Shore. Okay, so I have Khadija Bartley here saying that all I know is they have too much garbage inside of the wetland. Okay, thank you for that, Khadija. You want to add something?
And garbage has all kinds of, side effects. It's not just unsightly, and plastic bottles, and it will stop the flow of water, the natural flow of the water, and also polluting. It's polluting. It may leak all kinds of chemicals. And for example, I've seen these old fridges in the mangrove in West Wetland, and it's distressing to think what damage they're doing to the environment. And people take them there because they take garbage there because it's kind of out of the way, and they think nobody will see it, and they're sort of hiding it, instead of taking it to the official dump, and sometimes they're quite large objects that they take down there. But so we have to pay close attention, and maybe we need to do, rather than beach cleanups, maybe we need to do more mangrove cleanups.
Okay, thank you, Emma, for that. All right, anybody have anything else to say?
Yes.
Can go ahead.
Just sharing an experience of a wetland. I live in an area of Jamaica which is close to the largest wetland in Jamaica, which is a Portland Bight wetland and Keys. And so we appreciate our wetland because it saves us during periods of hurricanes. Certainly, I can recall Hurricane Dean. The mangroves, they're very tall. Some of them up to 30, 40 feet tall. And you could, because of that type of barrier which it provided, our community was saved. Other communities which were more to the front but did not have that cushion of the wetland, almost all the houses in those areas lost their roofs. Also living close to a wetland area, we use our wetland for water source. During periods when we have disasters and we do not have water in our pipes, the wetland is where we get our water for domestic use. They also use the wetland for recreation. And Miss Lewis spoke about Salt River. Salt River is one of the areas that on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning it's very busy because persons will go there. Prior to COVID, persons would go there to swim. Persons would also go there to get their fish. And it's a relaxation. It's close. You don't have to go to Kingston. You don't have to go to Hellshire. Salt River is right there within our community. So the wetland is used as a space for recreation and survival.
Yes.
In terms of the wetland being a dump, depending on where in Jamaica you live, wetlands have different names. So sometimes it's called swamp, morass, bush, bog, pond, depending on where you live. So different persons have different appreciation for wetland. If you're in St. Thomas, wetlands is where you go to see crocodile and you go to crab. As a child, most children, if they have to leave out early in the morning or late evening, they will see the crabs on the road. And so as a little girl, many years ago, the books that we used to read in the early childhood school would speak about persons going to crab bush. The children now do not have that experience of reading books about going to crab bush, but the wetland is that space in Jamaican culture that provided that type of experience. And for those who are on the coastal areas as well, beaches are close. Some beaches are close to wetlands. So it's an area to cushion us. It's an area that provides us with water. It's an area that provides us with a relaxing space to see and hear the birds. And that's my experience of wetlands.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. That one was good. Okay, before I hand over to Peter Harding, I'm going to read a comment that Sasha Lee Cross made. So she's saying that we can help to protect the wetlands by participating in cleanup on beach cleanup days or organize with your local community groups. Okay. Okay, Emma said, I remember the crabs in Negril, people going out with a torch at night to catch crabs with a sack over their shoulder. Okay. Okay, so now I'll hand over to Mr. Peter Harding to share with us.
Yes. Thank you. Well, I don't know what's happening here, but thank you very much for allowing me to participate. I want to commend you and commend the Natural History Museum for this initiative.
Mhm.
I think it is important, but I am speaking perhaps in the same vein as Ian. Is that Ian Shaw from the from Britain spoke? I think that I'm very disturbed as he is, and perhaps all of us are, with respect to how we have relegated the environment generally and wetlands in particular to the backwoods of discussions. I think that we face an environmental emergency across the world, and right here in Jamaica. I think that that in many respects, I commend NEPA and all the other environmental agencies that we have here in Jamaica. But I think that that NEPA is NEPA's position has been seriously compromised, because I do not think that their moral authority is strong enough, because in other areas of environmental endeavor in our country, NEPA's position has been very flip-flopping, and people feel that that issues surrounding the environment is not seriously should be taken seriously at all. And I think that while we are going through our celebrations this month, as we should, I think that there is an ominous cloud hanging over us, and we need to take aggressive steps to deal with the environmental issues that we have here in Jamaica and across the world. Plastics. I think we need to re-energize the plastics program, right? We have banned plastics, but I go to the market, the Coronation Market, every now and again, and I walk with my market bag with mountains of plastic in it. So I do not accept plastics from the persons who sell, but they have mountains of plastic selling. And these are the very same plastic bags that we ostensibly banned some several months ago. These things are injurious to the wetlands, as the fishermen said earlier on. And I think that that we are paying too much lip service. Is there anything that that the National Library can do to increase our levels of advocacy with respect to matters of the environment? Again, I commend you, and we would want to get on board. I am doing some things in my own personal area, because I have access to some organizations, and we're going to be focusing on some things this month and for the next couple of months. But I think that we need to have the levels of energy up, and NEPA's moral authority to treat with issues of the environment needs to be dealt with. Those are some of my concerns.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Harding. And a lot of persons share the same sentiments as you do. Okay, so Emma is saying that yes, we need to have confidence in NEPA. I know they are stretched, but they need to step things up in terms of enforcement. Okay, the Natural History Museum of Jamaica said, well said, Mr. Harding. Okay, so I want to thank each and everybody for sharing with us today their experience and their thoughts about wetlands. Is very much appreciated. I'm going to ask Mrs. Cole now to share with us a character story on wetlands. Ms. Cole.
Let's close with a story on our wetlands.
Hard rain, then a fall. Rainwater will pour into the town. It will be a disaster.
We must have less water. Let's dry this wetland. And we have to build a wall along the river so that water will not flood the town. But we'll go into the ocean as soon as possible.
Hey. What's happening?
We're going to dry this wetland.
You can't do that. This is a valuable ecosystem.
Ecosystem? Not familiar. Is it a new company brand?
Yes. You have to speak his language.
Close your eyes, please. and imagine that water is money.
Ah, pennies from heaven.
When you get a lot of money all at once, what do?
I put it in the bank.
Think of the wetland as a bank, where you can save water for later.
We could call it the water bank. What about you wetlanders? Do you mind some extra water here?
No. To us, flood brings food.
I'll become a water banker. Could you take care of the portfolio of this ecosystem thing?
Sure. We can take care of the ecosystem services here.
I could help to restore some dried wetlands.
See why we should value our wetlands? Thanks for joining the wave with us. See you next week.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Cole, for sharing that with us. That was very fun for me. But we hope that you guys enjoyed it. All right, bit of information in it as well. All right, so we've come to the close, the end of another session, but we have a special for you guys this week. So we're going to have part 2 of this session this Thursday at 12 o'clock, and you guys should participate, right? You guys can send the link to other persons for them to participate so that we can spread the word and get persons engaged, and so that they can learn about our wetlands and the importance of our wetlands. So just spread the word, guys, that this Thursday at 12 o'clock, the Natural History will be having another session on wetlands, and our presenter will be Miss Janelle Tomlinson. Okay, so I want to thank everybody for joining today. I want to say a special thank you to Miss Emma Lewis for presenting to us today and sharing, and everybody that participated and shared their experience and their thoughts on wetlands. I want to thank you guys very much for sharing with us today, and our YouTube participants. We appreciate you guys. Okay, so and come again Thursday and join us as we have another session. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for coming.